It's Lucas from the Live Wire, and I am back with Australian rap superstar 360, who's about to drop his first album in 8 years and a new tour. How are you, my friend?
I'm really well, man. That just trips me out every time I hear 8 years.
8 years, man, long time. Like I thought something was going to happen over the pandemic with the live streams. I thought we might get an album or something. There was a couple of tracks I think that dropped out of that, but I guess just on that, maybe on that topic, did any of the ideas that came out of the live streams end up on the record?
Oh man, there was so many in there. I think no, none of them made it, man. I think some of them might have come out when I released those 6 songs in like 2022 or 2023. I can't remember what year that was, but
Yeah, it
I
was
released
between
I
20
released
21,
songs.
21 and 23. It was like drugs, Truman Show, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I know there was a few there, but I didn't know if anything you kind of like maybe locked onto and what didn't quite figure out, but then figured it out for the record.
Nah, none of them made it, man. Everything off the new album has just completely been done freshly over the last probably 2 years.
Yeah, cool. Well, listen, I've had a chance to listen to the album. It's really good. I'm really excited about it. It digs very deeply, I guess, back into a lot of vibes with the falling and flying days.
Mm.
There's a couple of like songs on there with a bit of like more of a country influence, which I thought was interesting. When going into the record, how did the writing for that look and how did the producing for that look?
So I worked with on this album with Tyrone Harpy, and man, we've been working for like years. Like he helped me produce all those songs that I did in 22 or 21 or whatever it was. And I thought he was just a producer. I didn't realize that he was actually a songwriter as well. So then when we were really trying to dial in on this album, he started showing me the way he can write melodies and choruses. And man, he is absolutely one of easily probably the most talented person I've ever worked with in Australia by far, because his ability to write, like we were both actually really inspired by country at the time of writing this album, like listening to a lot of Zach Bryan and stuff like that. So we started trying to channel some of that music into this, and you can sort of hear that little bit of influence in there. Also Avicii, man, like I wanted to make some bangers like with a bit of an Avicii influence, and I think there's elements of that in there. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think I mean like Games with Your Heart and not Games with My Heart, sorry, No Place and Someone Else's Dime. Those two songs specifically, I guess you really hear it. But like again, I guess with the Avicii stuff too, you kind of hear that stuff. And again, it's a bit of a throwback to the stuff that you used to do with songs like Games with My Heart, Save My Soul. There's some really banging songs on here, and I'm really excited for people to get a hold of it. Is there any song in particular you're looking forward to getting in front of a live audience for the first time?
Man, we did like demo versions of Coastline and Games with Your Heart on the last tour. We just showed like half the song, and they went down really well, as well as Save My Soul. And they went down really well. So I'm keen to see how they go now that people actually know them. Games with Your Heart isn't actually released yet, but I think you did you hear have you heard Euphoria, the first song on the album?
That was very different. I wasn't the song I was expecting, I think, to maybe open a record like this, but the more I've listened to it, the more I'm loving it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I feel like that one live, something about that beat is just going to be insane live. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to Games with Your Heart. I think that's the song that maybe pulled me the most when I on the first listen, and every listen since I've just fallen more and more in love with that track.
And that's great to hear. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that they sent you the album because they haven't been doing that for all these interviews. So that's cool.
Yeah. I guess talking on those songs specifically again with Save My Soul and stuff, it digs deep back into the again the falling and flying era. And if I could touch on that for a second, I just remember that that's the first time I heard you, and that's the first time I got to experience you. I was not into, sorry, I didn't really get a hold of anything before that with like the Pez EP and stuff like that. But yeah, like it's just wild, I guess, like seeing your evolution and kind of going off and doing all these cool things and being like, okay, now's the time to bring this sound back. What was the inspiration to kind of bring the dancey stuff back?
Man, I've always loved it. I've always wanted to continue doing it, but for some reason, when I did Falling and Flying, after that, I kind of got consumed with trying to win over rappers again. When I did Utopia, if you listen to that album, I was trying to incorporate a lot of trap and trying to really rap my ass off to prove myself again. And I sort of did the same thing with Vintage Modern as well. I was going, having a lot of boom bap elements and not as, we had some dancey stuff on there, but not really. And I think that was because I was trying to win people's favor again. And with this album, I was just like, I just want to do the music that I want to make without trying to impress anyone else. And so that's what I think is you hear in this album is just really got me just embracing what I like again and not actually trying to win people over.
For sure. And I guess too, like you are right, like those, Utopia and Vintage Modern are very traditional Aussie hip hop kind of albums where Out of the Blue and Falling and Flying is obviously a bit more. I think you were doing something that was really unique. No other artist, I don't think, was doing it in Australia, and that's kind of, I guess, what drew me to you, because at the time I was big into like dance music and that kind of stuff. So when I was hearing songs like Just Get Started and Boys Like You and that, like that's what pulled me and then kind of kept me as a fan. I also just happened to be a fan of guys like Seth Century, Bliss and Esso, Hilltops, all that. So, you're feeding into that later on and kind of coming back around to that, was just more of more cool shit.
Yeah, I feel like it was probably the album that I should have done after Falling and Flying. This album would have been a great follow-up to that. But it's like I really like how when we did Falling and Flying, it wasn't, like you said, like it wasn't really done. And I remember releasing that, and because it was a lot of dance and pop music on there, it got really shunned by the rap crowd. And instead of just accepting that, I decided to start trying to appease them, which I think is the wrong move to make, and I've learnt a lot from that.
Yeah. So I guess an interesting question there then is not long after you did Falling and Flying, I can't remember if it was before or after Utopia. I think it might have been before. You did Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, yes.
Which was like at the time I was calling it Aussie hip hop Avengers. Like that track is insane with the level of talent that's on that track. Was that kind of like you being like, oh, I need to kind of like get on something big to kind of win people back, or like what was the experience with that?
Oh, that was just an organic thing that happened, man. Like, we've always been close with the Bliss and Esso boys and that. So we'd worked with them. Me and Pez did a song with them. We did a Happy in My Hoodie remix, and so we'd known them for a while. And then they were like, "Oh, let's do this song with almost like hip hop, Aussie hip hop royalty on there." And that's just how it turned out, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. The other thing too is like when I got the album, they didn't give me a list of features. So did anyone feature on the record?
So Pez was the only one to do a rap verse, but we had features on there like we've got Darcy Spiller, we've got Nicole Miller, we've got Conrad Sewell on there.
Oh, cool. What song's
Bro,
Conrad
Conrad
on?
Sewell's on Someone Else's Dime.
Oh, no way. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, his voice is crazy, man. He sounds like a Aussie MJ.
Yeah, no, he's sick, man. I love him. And that, now that you've said it, it totally makes sense. And again, that's another song that I really, really liked. And then I guess talking on this too, something else that I think is interesting about you specifically, something you don't normally do is samples. You don't sample other musicians. Like it's all normally like your own beats, and just everything's kind of, for the most part, pretty original in that sense. But you have the Please Be Seated series.
Yes. Yeah.
So obviously 4 just dropped not long before this. Is it kind of an intentional decision to keep the sampled material away from the records?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a nightmare to clear samples now. Like if I could clear samples like what was that country one off Please Be Seated 4? The Morgan Wallen joint. If I could clear that, I would 100% put that on the album, but it's such a pain to do that. So we kind of just leave that now and just leave the samples to like using splice ones.
Yeah. No, listen, that Morgan Wallen song is an awesome one. And I at the time, like I was kind of thinking, again, why is that not on the record? Like there's some songs that are on those Please Be Seated albums that I'm shocked are not on records, but that also makes sense. The clearing and, just
That's
throw it
the
out on a
only
mixtape instead.
Yeah, that's the only reason, man. Like, there's so many joints off the Please Be Seated ones that I've loved so much. I would like would have killed for them to be on the album, but they would have just been so hard to do.
Yeah. Another cool thing I do like about you as well is I guess your ability to tap into raw and honest emotions when it comes to writing your lyrics. Again, guys like Bliss Esso, Seth Century, Illy, Draft, Hilltops all tap into that, but I think you approach it with such a very honest, genuinity. I don't even know if that's the word to say. But like hearing songs like "I'm Sorry" and "Real Friends" from that EP, does it kind of damage the psyche a little bit to kind of tap into that stuff? Because like those songs are raw as fuck.
Oh, thank you, man. Man, you know a lot of stuff. Like, this is really, really well like fun, man.
Bro,
I'm
I've been
enjoying that.
like I said, I've been a fan since Falling and Flying. I would get drunk in the clubs every weekend to the songs, and like this, having this even like 15 minutes with you to chat is just surreal, considering how much I followed your career the whole time, and
Man,
like
it's a
again,
real pleasure. Hey,
yeah, seeing and then as well, like again, hearing this record and like I wasn't super big on vintage modern, but I do appreciate what it was, and like I don't think it necessarily was for me, but like kind of hearing out of the blue and like to me, like you're 100% back. Like this is the 60 that I fell in love with. I'm really happy that what the album is, but like again, like tapping into like really raw shit like that's got to be that's got to be daunting to put that stuff together.
man, I really appreciate everything you're saying here. But yeah, with those songs, man, to be honest, like when I did like I'm Sorry and that, it took me to a place where I was revisiting some basically a nightmare, and I would rap it and I was breaking down crying, that's happened multiple songs, even for like Tiny Angel, which isn't even about me, but it's going to a really dark place. So it's like it brings a lot of stuff up. It's almost like method acting in that regard. But what I found when I rap about stuff that's actually like personal and all about stuff that I've gone through, it's actually really therapeutic, man. Like I go through it, it'll get a lot of emotion that I didn't even know was still there, and it'll bring it all out. So it feels like I'm healing from it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. But no, amazing songs. Again, the record's fantastic. Not only that, but then you've now got the tour coming out in July as well, which is going to, I think, the album drops about a week or two before the tour starts. Is that right? Again, they never gave me a date for the album. They were just like, here, have a listen.
Yeah, July 11th, man. So just a few weeks before, like
Sweet. And then,
yeah.
sweet. And then the Melbourne show's on the 18th. So yeah, literally a week between. Awesome.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting. It's like it'd be cool to have the album out for a bit longer because I'd be able to introduce more songs into the set. But I think I think we've got like 6 or 7 songs out from the album when the tour starts, so we'll be able to still fill it up pretty well.
Yeah, killer. And then, like I said earlier, Pez is going to be on the tour as well. Um, like that's got to be cool to be bringing him back out and doing another tour again.
Man, it's going to be so fun. I mean, like we're doing a Forthright podcast together as well, which will be coming out in May, and we've man, it's so our stories are so similar. Like going meeting at basketball, thinking we'd do that for our careers, having injuries that caused us to go towards music, and then going through our little dark phases. And him and I have become like we've always been really, really close friends, but we've come back around full circle to like having such a deep bond again, and the growth that he's gone through, and like the man that he's become. He's such a good dad now, and just so proud of him, and so good to be connecting again and back to where we were when we were like 19.
Yeah, for sure. Well, like I said, the tour is going to be killer. Starts up on the 18th of July in Melbourne. It's going to run through all the capitals. It's going to hit Perth in August. I'll throw a little end card at the end that's going to have all the dates on there. But listen, I know you're kind of locked for time, so I appreciate you taking just even 10, 15 minutes to chat. It's been really cool.
And thank you so much.
Fingers crossed this one goes plat.
Yeah, yeah.
It deserves it. It's an insane record, and it's so much fun, so much variety. There's going to be something on there for everyone.
Man, thank you so much. I appreciate this so much. It's a real pleasure to talk to someone who actually knows my stuff. It's awesome, man.